Support for this show comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, the mortgage company that decided to ask why. Why can't the mortgage experience be better for everyone? And why can't technology help all of us move into the home of our dreams faster and easier? Why do mortgages require paperwork? Quicken Loans answered all these questions and more with Rocket Mortgage. Rocket Mortgage gives you the confidence you need when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. Whether you're looking to buy your first home or your 10th or refinance your existing mortgage, with Rocket Mortgage you get a transparent online process that gives you the confidence to make an informed decision. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply. Understand fully. Mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
If you're doing a show like this today, or you were on an NFL game yesterday, you had to have your moment. And, I saw 4 or 5 different guys, do what they felt were their poignant stand-ups and give their message, And they pretty much all were in line with the NFL and what the NFL did yesterday. First, and I think the country's going to be very much divided on this, just like it was divided on, the election, just like it's been divided since the election. Now, nobody, not his most ardent supporter, I don't believe, would think that the president was doing what he's supposed to do over the weekend with this. I mean, his job is to unify. And this was divisive and inflammatory no matter what your perspective is. You knew it was going to be that, and it was. And I think he wanted it to be. I think, he was very clear about that, and I think there's times where he wants to get a reaction. I think he very much wanted to get a reaction. But here's what it comes back to, and this is the one thing that I don't agree upon. There's this premise that, hey, everyone has freedom of speech. Everyone has the right to say what they want and express their opinion. That's America. Absolutely true. But what I don't agree with is that everyone has the right to do that anytime, any place, anywhere. And this is what I feel about this. Number one, the idea of the national anthem is symbolic. And I've always thought the reason they play it at games, and we've, debated the genesis of that as to what was the reason for it. But to me, it's almost just kind of a symbol of us saying, hey, here's who we are. Here's, our symbol, our flag, and this is what we stand for, right? Also. But really what it is also paying homage to the people who protect us around the world, who allow us to have this way of life, who have given the greatest sacrifice, maybe their lives, as many have in different wars, to allow us to have this wonderful way of life. And we do have, let's be honest, we're very lucky to be, we're very lucky to be in this city, and we're very lucky to be in this country. So, I mean, whatever randomly placed us here, when you think of the randomness of the world where you could have wound up anywhere, and you wound up right here, and you wound up right now, and right in this place, you know what? You're very lucky. Because, you know what? It's a great place to be. And it's a great country to live in. And I think we maybe all forget that sometimes. But the point is, here's my premise for the players. Hey, I have a freedom of speech. I have the right to express myself. You do. You have every right to express yourself. Please feel free. But nobody goes to that game expecting you to protest the national anthem. They go to that game as a fan. They pay money to go to that game to see you play football. That's why they went there. That was the reason they went there. They did not go there because you told them you were going to protest the national anthem. And you are also on your job. You are being paid. So there's two things there that I have a problem with. One, The players are employees. They are being paid. You can't take money with one hand and then bash with the other hand. So, there's kind of a contradiction there. Number two, the people in the stands did not go there with the idea that you were going to protest. They expected the national anthem. They expected a game. They expected to be entertained. They hoped their team wins, and so be it. That's football. That's sports in America. And my feeling is you have every right to protest. The question that I have is, do you have the right to disrupt at that moment as an employee and as someone who was doing it at a place where no one expected it? If I go to a concert and the performer comes out and gives me 15 minutes on their political beliefs, I'm like, whoa, wait a second. I came here to hear you sing. I didn't come here to hear this. You have a right to say this, but, tell us when you're going to have a performance where all you're going to do is give us your political beliefs, and then I'll decide whether I want to see you or not, and whether I want to pay to see you or not. Or my feeling is, Tuesday afternoon, these players can protest everything they have a problem with. Here's where it's going to be, and anyone who wants to be part of that, go show up. That's fine. They have every right to do that. They could do that every day of the week. But the question is, are they being fair if they disrupt something as an employee that no one knew they were going to disrupt? Is that fair to the paying audience? They didn't come there for that express reason. And they're also employees. So I think there's a question as to whether that is the most equitable way to do it. Because those fans, those people who are your customers, they did not sign up for this, and they pay your salaries. They're the ones who paid a lot of money, took time to get to the stadium, sit in the stands. Do they deserve better than that? Whether they are for it or against it is not the issue here. The question is the protest in that form the fairest way to go about protesting? That's the question I would raise as an employer. Now, it's a very tricky thing now because it's highly politicized, where if you're an owner, you have to stay within the NFL boundaries now, as everybody has. With the NFL, and they feel they've been attacked, so they're going to come out in uniform. But you're hearing now that a lot of teams that said they were unified, you're hearing stuff coming out of the teams now that they really weren't unified. And that some of the players didn't like the way it was handled. So my point is, you're never going to please everybody in this form of it. So maybe it isn't the fairest, the most equitable way to get your point across, but it's clearly the most visible way. And that's the reason it's done. Because if I said, hey, you can have a forum, you can hold a meeting, you can hold a outing, and you know what you'll say? No one will come. And they won't. They wouldn't take the time to come to see you do it. They wouldn't take the time to come to hear you. They went to a football game, and you decided to protest as they got ready to watch the game, because you know that's where you're going to be the most visible from a standpoint of those at home and those in the stands. And that's the question I raise is that the most equitable way to do it? And for the people who we try to honor with the national anthem, which is how I see the national anthem, is we're honoring the people who made sacrifices to us, the people who protect us every day, the people who are protecting us around the world right now, the people who do that and allow us to live our lives under the watchful eye that they provide for us, and especially those who have paid the most precious sacrifice, have given a limb or have given an eye or have given their life. We're honoring them and saying thank you. At least that's what I see with the symbolism of the anthem. Those people deserve that. They did nothing. And I don't think everybody believes they did nothing except do their duty and deserve to be honored. And that's what we're doing, I believe, with the anthem. At least that's how I see it. And that's why I would support it for that reason, because I think that's what we're doing when we honor it. It's symbolic, but that's what we're doing. And I have no problem with any player, whether it be Kaepernick, whether it be any other player, who has any kind of gripe, airing his gripe and being allowed to speak his mind. I would never, ever, if I were an owner of a team, I would never have a problem with a player speaking his mind. But I do think there's a time and a place where it's best for the entire group, and where I am not in any way destroying the unity of my team or affecting the owner's business. And you could say, well, there's more important things in the owner's business. Well, really, the message is not one that is 100% unified. You had, like, the perfect example was yesterday you had the Steeler player who's an ex-Army Ranger who, when told that they were going to be they were not going to come out for the national anthem because Tomlin did not want to show any lack of unity, so he decided to keep his whole team in for the national anthem. He came out and stood outside Villanueva and sang the national anthem. Today, his jersey was the number one selling jersey in America, according to the little things that come over your phone, the little blurbs that come over. His was the number one selling jersey now in the country. For that, I guess, show of patriotism. The point is, I have no problem with Kaepernick. I have no problem with anybody ever doing what is their right, and that is to speak their mind in this country. I believe that. I even, although I find it something I don't want to watch and something that I don't condone, but I understand when someone takes it so far as to, do something that is in any way disruptive to some of the symbolism we believe in. I understand it. There is a freedom of speech. You have a right to protest. Our country's built on debate and built on protest, and it should be. But there's also a right time and a place. You are an employee, first of all. And even these players, you're paid a handsome amount of money to play that game. You're getting paid a lot of money to play a kid's game. With that come some responsibilities to your employer. So if your employer puts out rules, you got to agree by them. And if you say, no, it's my freedom of speech, well, yes, when it's the right time, right place. You have every right to do it, but do you have a right to be disruptive? That's really the question. So to me, while it just seems to me that you're hearing now, well, everyone's got it backwards. Freedom of speech means you can disrupt the national anthem. I don't know that it means that. I think it means that you don't have to honor the national anthem. But does it mean you get a chance to be disruptive when you're going to work? And at a place where you basically are now doing this and doing it in a way that was not something that was planned. Like I said, when you go to a concert and somebody decides to give you 15 minutes of political talk rather than the concert, you're like, oh, wait a second, I didn't come for this, I came for the concert. Same thing, they came for the football game. So there's a time and a place. The question is that the time and the place? So, and no one would ever say that what the president said wasn't divisive. It clearly was. There's no way it was anything but inflammatory and divisive. I don't think anybody could argue that. And I think if you are arguing that and you're saying that it wasn't, even the most ardent supporter would have to admit that it was. But I don't know that the best form of protest is what we're doing now, because to me it seems that all we have every day is, oh, half the team stood up. Oh, this part of the team stood up. Oh, this. So to me, it's gotten to be where I don't know what we're exactly accomplishing here now. And everyone can say that that was this enormous show of unity yesterday, but you're hearing now that some of the people who were told to do one thing weren't happy that they did. Ben Roethlisberger has a perfect example coming out today saying, I was not comfortable with the position I was put in yesterday. As an example, he went to actually write a thing today and say that he couldn't sleep last night because he did not feel very comfortable with the position that he was put in. So it's not that everybody is agreeing. So my point is, yes, we all have the right and the freedom of speech in this country and the right to speak, but is the players at the start of the game doing what they're doing the best way to do that? That's the question I would raise. Some people may say yes, some people may say no. It seems to be very divided as to what people believe, but you're still employees, and that's might not be the best time and place for it. Plus, what did the people who we stand to honor or support, who give so much to us and have given so much to us, what they do wrong? Why shouldn't they be honored the same way they always have been? So to me, I think that's just some things that I can understand people's point of view for. So I think there are two sides to it. I understand that people say this is the right way to do it, and the people who say this isn't the right way to do it. So, but it doesn't seem like there's anything else that is being offered as an alternative, as a form of protest, other than the national anthem, which has become the focal point of all this. All right, let's get a couple of, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a chance to get